Former Deputy Assistant Director for the FBI's Counterterror Division, Terry Turchie. Terry, your thoughts on this matter and the allegation that there are tapes out there?
Well, I guess, Dagan, that if there are tapes out there, it'd be best to have them and see what's on them. But I think we already know what's on them if they exist. And we know what Director Comey said. And so we pretty much have already all made up our own minds as to whether anything on there constitutes some sort of crime. I'm actually much more concerned and, quite frankly, don't understand why we're not talking a lot more about that New York Times article in February of on February 14th of this year. That article, according to Mr. Comey, in his own words, in the main wasn't true. And I thought all of this was started because of Russian collusion and the whole idea that perhaps President Trump was colluding with the Russians. And I think we need to know a lot more about that article. We need to know about those 3 or 4 sources inside government somewhere and their motives. And if we want to answer the question about Russian collusion, that's where we go to get that answer, not those tapes. And I don't understand why we're not working and worrying about that right now.
Terry, it's Mitch Rochelle.
Hey, Terry, let's say there are no tapes, does this issue ever go away? I mean, there's always going to be another theory after another theory. Does the issue go away?
Well, that's really a great question, and here's why. I don't think the issues are ever going to go away. They're going to come up with one issue after another if what I feel is correct. And I actually feel President Trump is the one who's the victim of a Russian active measures campaign. Now, it could very well be that this is just some sort of political thing involving the Democratic Party, maybe. But I think if there's Russian collusion and there's Russian intelligence behind this, all of this looks much more, when you look at the evidence, like it points in that direction, and that he looks like the victim of a campaign intended to destabilize our country and basically stop his presidency, which goes to the answer to your question. These issues aren't going to go away if that's the case. They're going to keep coming up with one and then another.
What would be the reason to hold these tapes back if there are tapes?
Well, there wouldn't be any reason. If there are tapes, let them go. I mean, I think we all wonder if there are any or it was just something he said in the moment. But if there are tapes, let them go. It benefits him to let them go, and we can all make up our own mind.
Mm-hmm. But we wouldn't be, Terry, before we move on, we wouldn't be talking about these tapes if President Trump hadn't brought them up again on Friday.
Well, he brings things up all the time.
But it hurts him. Yeah. But it hurts him. It doesn't help.
It doesn't, and I think that this is kind of what we should expect, though, if we're going to put a non-politician type person who pretty much just wings it when he goes out and talks. And I'm certainly willing to see that happen. I mean, that's what we get when we choose somebody that hasn't been around Washington, D.C. This is really the problem we have in the first place with the fact that Director Comey, if nobody else was going to do it, should have talked to President Trump about the way you deal with the FBI, because no president deals with the FBI the way he kind of did. And I don't think he'd ever had any discussions with anyone about that. You've got to be very careful if you're going to sit there and talk to the FBI director about anything. And this is not new. Remember that it is an open secret in Washington, D.C. that for 8 years, former FBI Director Louis Freeh and President Bill Clinton had an open warfare going. They did not talk, they didn't get along, and it was all because President Clinton felt slighted at something that the director did. So right. This is common.
Terry, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here, Terry Turchie.
Thank you.